I just started watching the Bret Weinstein Tucker Carlson interview, and I made it to about the 13-minute mark. I'll try to get through the rest. It's been a little difficult so far just listening to Weinstein go on and on about how smart he is and how much the evidence points to Darwinian evolution. I want to play this clip here. This is a few different clips from the first, I think, 10 minutes of this interview. And I want you to listen to Weinstein's comments, what his foundation is, and the claims he makes regarding himself and the world in which he lives. So take a listen.
So even if we, in this universe, are the product of a creator's work, ultimately that creator is going to have come from somewhere, and the only explanation that could possibly work is going to be Darwinian. So, again, I'm not saying that I know whether there is or there isn't, but I am saying that the principle that has allowed us to see all of what we can see, that has allowed us to build all that we have built, that principle is parsimony, and it suggests that this universe is not the product of an intentional creation. Let's just start from the premise that there is a creator who intended this universe and the biota. So I'm a product of that, right, in this thought experiment. And in such a case, I know that this creator gave me a capacity to reason. I'm pretty good at it, and so I've invested in it professionally. And he gave me an incredible set of evidence for Darwinian evolution. And I'm now forced to grapple with the question of why a creator would have given me a capacity to reason, would have given me the principle of parsimony, the power of which I can see, and a set of evidence that forces me to conclude that the biota at least evolved in a Darwinian way.
So a couple things briefly on that. Number one, you'll note that for Weinstein, the thing that holds everything together, well, maybe there's two things, but first is this idea of parsimony, which is the idea that the simplest explanation is the right one. So sort of like Occam's razor, and he says that has given us the answer to everything. That to him is sort of what holds everything together, and that contrasts with Scripture, Colossians chapter 1, which I was actually just listening to prior to turning on this Tucker Carlson interview, which states that Christ holds all things together. So the atheistic or agnostic worldview has to posit something in place of Christ, who does indeed hold all things together, not just physically, logically, everything. Everything is held together by Christ. Our thinking, our reasoning, our ability to understand the world around us, it is not given to us by parsimony, it's given to us by Christ. So that's one thing. The other thing you'll note in that video was that Weinstein, and this should be pretty obvious to everyone, I guess it's not to Weinstein, he really begs the question in two ways. He begs the question by saying that he is really good at reasoning. So his claim is that he kind of does this thought experiment that, all right, let's just say that God does exist, and if he created me, he made me really good at reasoning. I mean, I'm a really smart guy, obviously. I mean, I do it for a living, so obviously I know how to reason better than the average person, and therefore whatever I deduce from the evidence, because the evidence that we see around us does not tell us what happened in the past. So in order to make claims about what we see today, which is all any scientist can do, he must use reasoning to make those claims. And so Weinstein is begging the question in two ways here. One, he's saying, look, my reasoning is correct because he says I'm really good at it. I'm really smart. It's basically, the fool has said in his heart there is no God. Weinstein is setting himself up as the authority, saying, I'm really bright, I'm really intelligent. Therefore, my conclusions about the evidence are almost axiomatically correct because I've already established that my reasoning is good. So he's really kind of begged the question there about his own reasoning ability. And then too, about the fact that he says the evidence, it demands a Darwinian evolutionary view. It just demands it. Like, there's no doubt. The facts are clear. This demands Darwinian evolution. And I think that's false. But if his reasoning is the standard, then who am I to question the almighty Bret Weinstein? So those are a couple things to keep in mind. And regarding our ability to reason and where that comes from, I do recommend you check out one of the latest videos that dropped over at Future of Christendom's YouTube channel, where Joel Saint and Luke Saint went to Carn University, formerly known as Philadelphia Biblical University, I believe, PBU. And they gave a presentation, and Luke especially gave a talk on how we know things and our ability to reason. And I'll try to make it through the rest of this Weinstein-Carlson debate. I'll see if I have any more comments on it. But I wanted to share that initially. Weinstein, out of the gate, is setting himself up explicitly. And he's not even just setting up the idea of reasoning and how important it is to use logic, which we could do from a Christian perspective. It would still trace back to Christ, because Christ is the one that holds together everything, including the laws of logic. That is, even if you want to take the principle of parsimony, there is no other explanation. Forget about the simplest explanation. There is no other explanation for reality, for existence, for logic, other than Christ. And that is the Christian apologetic, ultimately. The impossibility of the contrary. But for Weinstein, he doesn't even attempt to do that. And I get that this was, the initial 10 minutes, but he basically says, I'm smart, therefore God does not exist. And we'll see how the rest of this interview goes. All right, God bless. Have a great day.